Hi guys, I'm Reveena and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make Hamantaschen, which are a typical Jewish cookie that we eat on Purim. The story of Purim essentially revolves around a man named Haman who was the king's advisor who wanted to kill all the Jews. And the king's wife, Esther, who was Jewish, found out through her uncle that Haman wanted to kill the Jews, and she told her husband, the king. The king then decreed that Haman should be killed instead, and now we make these cookies, these little triangular cookies, which are filled with the most delicious filling, because Haman wore a triangular hat. We also dress up in cool costumes. It's basically like Jewish Halloween. Let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make the dough, and then while the dough's resting, because it has to chill in the fridge, we're going to make the filling. While the filling cools, I'm going to clean up, and then we're going to assemble these fantastic cookies. In order to make the dough, you're going to need 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of cream cheese. I'm using low-fat cream cheese, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of sugar. And we're going to combine everything in the food processor and just process it all together. This is going to make the most fabulous, rich, buttery dough. And the reason that I have the butter and the cream cheese at room temperature instead of ice cold as you normally do if you're making a pie dough is because we're not going after that sort of, super buttery pie crust vibe. We want something which is slightly more moist and slightly more chewy with all the butteriness. This is much more difficult backwards. So that came together in just under 30 seconds. Doesn't take any time. And it forms itself into its own ball. All I have to do is very, very soft and sticky, is form it into a ball. I'm actually going to form it into 2 separate balls, and I'm going to refrigerate it for half an hour. So I once cut myself on this blade because I was like, oh, food processor blades, they're not sharp. They are. They really are. But I'm also too lazy to get 2 separate pieces of cling film, so I'm just kind of wrapping my dough in the same piece, but like in 2 balls, which I think is quite efficient, to be perfectly honest. Perfect. So I've got my balls of dough, and in they go in the fridge for half an hour until they're slightly more set. And in the meantime, let's make the filling. We're going to get started on the filling for the Hamantaschen. I know a lot of people are not fans of prunes and apricots, but they're really good. I don't know why people aren't opposed to them. I'm not going to tell you that this is going to make them taste like something which they're not. It's just going to make them even better. We're going to stew the prunes, apricots in a little bit of cinnamon and a mix of orange juice and water. So I have 16 ounces of prunes, 12 ounces of apricots, a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a cup of orange juice, and half a cup of water. And honestly, all I'm going to do is pour it into a pan, and I'm going to let it come to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer and just kind of cook it very slowly for around 20 minutes. All you're basically trying to do is create a really soft, luscious puree, because that's what we're going to stuff the cookies with. It's going to be great. So all I'm going to do is cover this and give it some TLC. So the prune and apricot and orange juice mixture cooked for 30 minutes, and then all I did is I pureed it, and I ended up adding another cup of water halfway through because those prunes and apricots were very, very thirsty, and they drank up the first cup. I took out the first ball of dough from the fridge. I just left the other one in because I'm only going to work with one at a time, and that way it stays cool and not as mushy. This is, as you see, it's a really, really soft dough. It's very pliable. So I'm going to liberally flour my work surface, and then I'm just going to put a little bit more flour on top, and I'm going to roll this out. Gosh, I'd love to give you a measurement. How thinly should we roll it out? I'll measure once it's there, because I don't know. I've never actually measured this. That looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I'd say this is about
1/4 to 1/2 centimeter thickness. You do want it quite thin.
And it'll make sense once I'm finished assembling the cookies. You'll see why you want the dough at the thinness that I have it. I have here a wine glass, which I'm going to use as my measuring cup. One of these days, I'm going to invest in some lovely round measuring cutters, but until that day, we're using a wine glass. And you want between a 3 and 4 inch diameter. So I'm starting at the side of my dough. So what I actually did is I just removed the part in between the circles, and you have quite a decent amount of dough left, and I'm going to use that. I'm going to roll it out again and make more cookies with it. But let me show you how to assemble these cookies. So I've got a piece of dough, and I'm just going to take a little dollop of filling. I should go get another spoon. I'll do that for the next one. And you put a little bit of filling in the middle. I'd say this is about a tablespoon of filling. But then again, depending on how small or how big your cookies are, it's going to change. And we're trying to create a triangular shape. So all you do is you take 2 sides, push them together, and pinch that edge. And these 2 sides, push them together and pinch these 2 edges. So you basically bring all the sides up, pinch the edges, and that's all there is to it. So I'm just going to do all the cookies, and I'll show you what it looks like when they're done. In this bowl I've got egg wash, which is basically 1 egg mixed with a teaspoon of water. And I made this last night because I made a pie and I just kept what was left over because I knew I'd be making Hamantaschen. But, make it fresh. And all I'm going to do is brush around the edges of my Hamantaschen. And that way when they bake, they'll go lovely and golden brown. I have brushed all the cookies, and this, of course, is just my first batch. I have the second dough in the fridge to roll out, and all the rest of my filling. It should hold up. If you run out of filling, something you can do is just put a little bit of Nutella in the cookies, which I feel like a lot of people will appreciate more than the prune filling, but it's so good. Please, please try it. Trust me on this one. And I'm just going to bake these cookies at 375 for 20 to 25 minutes until they're perfect and golden brown. Look at my Beautimus cookies. Right dough. Okay. I was trying to cool the whole thing down and a piece accidentally slipped and fell into my mouth. I think they're cool enough. They're so hot! Hot! I don't want to describe these. They're really good. They're really good. Really, really, really good. Please make this, whether or not you're celebrating Purim. It doesn't matter. These cookies are fantastic. Make them. Let me know what you think. And I look forward to hearing about it in the comments. Love you. Bye. Look at him. Look at him. He's eating pie.
The bloopers.
No, don't get the dishes.
I didn't. Good. Rule number 1 at filming at Reveena is don't get the sink.